Shami, a couple of days ago, I actually ended up reviewing this book by David Morrell called Rambo. And, it was actually a written version, a novelization of the third movie. So, anyways, going from there, I just randomly picked out this book called The Longbow. And it just struck me because, as Shakib said at the very introduction of the show, we go way back and we've spent a lot of time arguing about books, discussing books. And a lot of times we keep on discussing all these these movies that come out based on these stories, and we keep on arguing about, we've seen these stories, versions of these stories so many times. What would we do if it was different? And one of those stories was Robin Hood, and we kept on arguing about. I think this was when Russell Crowe's version of Robin Hood came in, and we both watched the movie, and we came out and we said, we're so tired of seeing the same old story. It's always Robin of Locksley goes off to the Crusades, comes back, and yada 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 goes on, and there's the story right there. And there have been versions of this, but nobody really gets down into the back end of it. I mean, there's so much more. Why is this guy such a fantastic archer? Why is he such a fantastic bowman? And Shaki came up with this theory that, it's probably because, in that time when they had all these knights and they were fighting off, these were giant, huge physical specimens. They were brute force, and they used to fight with these big broadswords that a normal person would never be able to pick up. So possibly this is Robin Hood should possibly be this one kid who's so skinny, who's so, he's so small that it's not possible for him to fight with others using the regular means of combat. So he can't do the sword fight, which is probably why he picked out a weapon which helps him kind of negate the size factor. So it's probably a very small guy. It's a small kid, and he takes on this bow, and he's probably practicing with it because he's getting otherwise hammered in the fights. And, he kept on talking about, what if this was the story? What if this was the story? What if this guy goes off to the Crusades and he's just got his trusty bow and arrow and he goes and makes a name of it? The reason I'm saying this story is because when I picked up this book, Longbow by Wayne Grant, that's exactly what it was. Such a similar storyline. And Wayne Grant, it's the first time that I've started reading his books. Longbow is the first one. Then there's another one where it actually goes off in the Crusades. It's a journey of this character called Roland Inez. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's the time of medieval England when you have the Saxons, when you've got the Normans, and you've got the entire Crusades. Richard the Lionheart has just become king. So it's that time in medieval in England where all this stuff is happening, and Richard comes in as the king and decides, I'm going to go off to the Crusades. And in the small part of England, there's this one Saxon boy who has a Danish Viking heritage, whose father's shown him how to create a longbow, which at that time in England apparently was outlawed, since the kings and the Normans used to be really scared of the common man learning to use the bow and therefore fight off the knights. So it's this beautiful, interesting plot where, this kid, he's using a weapon that's outlawed by the king, and he's using it in secret to poach because his family doesn't have food, and how it just escalates from there. This kid who's learned to use the bow, and he's learned it from his father. And it's one of those stories that just starts off very quick and then just kind of rapidly picks up pace. There's no setting of this was his village, this is his community. There's none of that. It starts off with this kid on a hunt to get food for his family, how he faces a crisis at that point, and how that crisis rapidly changes his life forever. And it just picks up pace and goes on. And along the way, what Wayne Grant has done, he's picked on these popular characters of Robin Hood, of Locksley, of taken in Friar Tuck. He's taken in the Templars. He's taken in the Crusades. He's taken in Richard the Lionheart. He's taking in Prince John. And he's created this beautiful tapestry of characters where, this story just flows out beautifully. So it's a story of this kid who goes off, becomes an archer, goes off to the Crusades, which is the second book where the title is Warbow. But it's a very short read. It's a very fast-paced read, Shakib. It's about, I think, 350 pages, but it's so interesting. It's so easy written. And the reason I use this, Shami, is because I was just finishing off your first book, and I just kept on thinking, how similar in terms of a writing style. You have this very easy-paced, there's no high-end prose of, oh, look, the sky is blue and the mountains are glistening. There's no faff. It's just the story. It's this beautiful set of characters, and you know how it kind of gets to the point of things happening. I love historical fiction. I love learning about a time gone long past, and this story does exactly that. It gave me this sense of, I'm living in the medieval times. It's telling me about the political intrigues that existed, and somewhere down there, I just love the way that this guy is building up. Wayne Grant is building up these characters. It's a fairly long series. I think there are about 4 or 5 books into it. I've just finished off the
Seven.
first three.
Seven.
Seven. Okay, so I stand corrected. So I finished off 3 of them, and I finished them off in about like a space of 6, 7 days. So very quick, easy reads, fascinating characters. It's the whole context is something that I love. Medieval ages. It's got everything you would love. It's got knights. It's got political intrigue. It's got the Crusades. It's got Templars. I loved it, and I really wanted to share it with the people who are watching us today.
Farooq, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. And I must thank you for sharing my very special original ideas that I created for myself 10 years ago and shared with you in confidence, and now blabbing it all over YouTube and Facebook and X. Yes, we're going live on X as well for Hollywood to pick up and run with it. So thank you, Farooq, for giving away my fantastic trilogy idea. So I actually had an idea for a trilogy. Anyway, be that as it may, I think this book sounds very interesting. Let's just take a look at the cover once more. For our Bangladeshi followers and fans, you can see this fantastic book, Longbow, published by Wayne Grant. I'm not sure if this is an indie published book or a traditionally published book, but you know where to get it. We'll be sharing the names of shops in Bangladesh where you can go and order these books, physical hard copies you can order. So thank you, Farooq, for picking this. I love Bow and Arrow. I love Hawkeye. I love Green Arrow. So this is right up my alley. Fantastic, fantastic.